We're good? All right. All right. Let's make some electronic safes fail. We're going to talk about vulnerabilities in electronic safes. I'm a guy. I'm an InfoSec guy. I got a bunch of certs. Sadly, I have CISSP. I know. I am not. I'm not an uber elite safecracker. I am just your average InfoSec guy. I do SIM stuff. I do some vulnerability assessment. I don't do physical pen testing, but I do take things apart and find stuff that's interesting. So we're going to talk about for the next 25 minutes. Non-destructive covert entry of electronic safes. We're not going to be drilling holes in the front of the safe. We're not going to be cutting safes open with big cutters. We're not going to brute force the keypad. I'm sorry, I don't have anything exotic like that. We're going to mainly deal with mechanical bypass. Safes we're going to talk about are all in the sub $1,000 category. The kind of stuff you'd buy at Walmart or major retailer, Amazon, what have you. The ones that are the most prevalent everywhere. The vendor in the safe is common. They're all the same vendor, but I want to point out that it's not important. These are all the different vendors. Kind of most of them share the same locking mechanism, so it's I don't want you to think I'm just picking on one vendor. So how we got here? I have a client who bought this safe. I said, hey, what do you put in it? And they're like, oh, there's all this important stuff. And I'm like, well, do you mind if I try to open it? And they said, well, no, you can't open it because, I mean, we haven't put any batteries in it. It doesn't, like the key's locked up. We can't open it. I was like, well, maybe you could just let me try. And they're like, oh, okay. So then this happened. Yeah. One more time. Open. No, we'll get there. This is good stuff. So, basically, so why does this work? As you can see, the electronic locking mechanism, the physical mechanism, is very lacking. And this safe, obviously, if it was bolted down, rocking the safe back and forth is not an option. Amazingly, people don't bolt safes down. Number one flaw. Okay, so why does this work? This little pin right here is basically like a little solenoid. You enter the key code, the keypad signals to this guy. It energizes the coil and pulls this pin down. I got a video here. Show you how that works. Here's the pin. Enter the key code. It drops. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same as my luggage. And then the important thing to see here is that pin moves. It moves freely, even when it's not, when you have an unlocked stick. It's just spring-mounted pin with a coil. So, dropping the safe with a well-timed turn of the handle can bypass the entire locking mechanism. This works on a lot of safes, particularly in that sub $1,000 category. But again, if you bolt down the safe, this problem goes away. So what else is wrong? Openings. Vendors make mistakes and they create, well, I shouldn't say create, they create openings so that they can get cables for the keypads and cables to run to the battery, because obviously you wouldn't want, if you have an only electronic locking mechanism, you don't want to put the batteries on the inside of the safe in case they die. So they have to make openings to get cables in there. Sometimes they make threaded threaded holes or whatever, so they can mount things to the front of the safe to put their logo on and such. So one of those things they said, they say you can't have access, you can't open it if we bolt it down. I said, well, I think I can. So I took a folding, hanging file folder and bent it up, and with a little shim of metal, took the opening where the keypad. Oh yes, you take the keypad off, and then there's the opening for the safe, and find the pin, push it down, open the lock, open the safe. So, okay, so as you see, the cabling needs a hole. I just insert the shim through here, reach down, push the pin down, actuate the handle, open the safe. All right. So, how did I learn this? Well, I bought this safe 2 years ago because I had a kid, and I was like, oh, I got guns, and I don't want to like have my kid get into these guns, so I'm going to buy a gun safe. Right around the time Deviant Olin was giving his talk at DerbyCon about quick access entry safes and for pistols, and I was like, interesting. I found this problem. We move the keypad. They put a skin. Can you hear that? Okay. So they remove the screw. Yeah, it works. So basically, I remove the screw, take a coat hanger, stick it in the safe, find the pin, and open it. I'm sorry? It's a company out of New York State that rhymes with Mentory Mafe. All right. So here's what's happening on the inside of the safe. That's correct. This is a common vendor on all these safes, but you'll find this locking mechanism on a lot of safes in the sub $1,000 category. And that's basically what's happening on the inside of the safe. So I can't. Well, you can make we can make it better, and they certainly can make it better, and they try, just not that well. So I contacted the vendor and I said, hey, this is really bad. Like, there's a screw hole 2 inches from your locking pin that goes all the way through. Like, you take a screw out in a coat hanger and you can open the safe. The safe was like, I don't know, it was like $600 or something like that. It's kind of disappointing when you find something like that and you spent your money on it. So I contacted them. It took a little while, and eventually I got to some guys on the product team, some engineers of some kind, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we totally understand what you're talking about, and we're gonna get a fix out to you." And I was like, "Oh, that's great." So I waited about 2 weeks, and I get this in the mail. And it's like, "Oh, okay. I don't know how that's gonna fix it, but okay." So I follow the instructions and install it, and look, it covers the hole for the screw, which was right there. Like, oh, that's nice. That's good. So what else is wrong? Well, I don't know, this gigantic hole down here and this one right here. So not so good. So I made my own fix. So this is kind of what you'll be resort to if you own one of these safes, is they're probably not going to make something for you that's like, they're not going to recall, 100,000, 200-pound safes. So if they can't make something that's, a Band-Aid, you're probably going to have to make something yourself to fix it. You're going to have to cover that pin and block access to the opening. So I made my fix, and it's obviously a lot harder to get to that locking pin. And that's nice, but, nothing special, nothing, But there are more problems. So that safe's bolted down, and I've covered up the pin, but what else? Oh, okay. This little green wire is what actuates that coil. There's a hole in the front of the safe. There is where it plugs into the circuitry. Maybe if I took a pair of tweezers, or a long pair of tweezers, and disconnected that, pulled it through the front, connected a 6-volt battery, it would activate the pin, and you could open the safe. Like, okay, don't have a demo on that one. I'm sorry. And then this, a lot of the Mentry safes have a access pin or a reset button. So if you, in order to prove or set the pin, what they do is they place a button on the inside of the safe. So you open the safe using like a factory code, and then to set your pin, you press a button, and then you set the pin on the safe. Well, you can shim the corner of the safe with, a small piece of metal and hit that button, whereby it'll beep. You enter whatever code you want it to be, and then the safe will open. So that's a problem, and not all safes have this mechanism, but it's common and scary. Another flaw in these safes is that people don't register them with the manufacturer, and likewise, I don't want to register mine because I don't want their mailing crap. But what they do is they give you if you don't register and they don't know who you are, who owns the safe, they don't have a way of proving who you are. So their secure mechanism is you send them a letter that says, no, it's totally my safe, and you have it notarized by someone, and then they will send you the code to your safe for a fee, so you have to spend a few bucks, or they'll send you an override key if your safe has an override key. So the serial number and the model number will equal the factory code of the safe if it has not been registered. Scary. So I hope you're not like me, but I own one of these safes, so now what? Well, contact your vendor. Some of them care, and they will try to fix it. Show them, send them a picture, and maybe they'll be able to fix whatever the problem is. Some things have fewer problems. That particular safe, the gun safe, is, I like to think of it as the, if you're into lock sport, the Master No. 3 lock. I think that's about the equivalent of the Master No. 3. Basically, got to block the openings. So you got to find a way. JB Weld and sheet metal is your friend. If your safe has an internal reset button, move it or get rid of it if you can. Bolt down your safe. Remove the serial number from the outside of the safe because, well, we don't want people getting that. It's sensitive information. So I was like, hey, I want to bring this safe to the talk. I want to bring a safe to the talk, show you guys some stuff. And turns out the vendor had made some improvements. This particular vendor we're speaking of. They had actually listened to some of the suggestions. They reduced the openings. They changed the pin, so it's no longer a straight metallic pin. They actually give it like a spool shape, so it will only actuate when the pin is 100% down. You can't like activate the pin, drop it, and it goes a little bit, drop it again, goes a little bit, drop it, and then open it. It's a spool shape, so it'll lock every time like my diagram here.
It works.
Yeah, exactly. Spool shape so it doesn't drop. Yeah, here you can see the spool. The spool shape, and then they changed the orientation of the pin. So now simply dropping the pin straight down, or dropping the safe straight down, doesn't work. So, is that better? Did that fix the problem? Well, I think it's more like saran wrap on a cracking pillar, but all right, let's demo this thing. If we can turn the camera over here, I'm going to try and show you guys how to open the newest, latest, greatest locking mechanism in Hunt. The magnet's pulling force, N15 neodymium magnet is a 2-inch circumference by 1-inch thick cylinder, has a 250-pound pull force. It's about $40 on Amazon, so not a big deal. I do hypothesize I don't have a bigger magnet, but they sell larger. I believe if you had, like, say, something double that, you would not need to drop the safe. It would be in a bolted down situation. It would it would pull the pin down. And if you couldn't see what I just did, it's like a 10-second demo, so you can watch it again. As long as it's a big book. It's really just for the preservation of the safe. Like, you don't want to drop it on the keypad and, break stuff. So.
How do you locate the spot on a safe?
Okay, so that's the key, right? Like, oh, I'm sorry. So the question was, how do you find the spot to place the magnet on a safe you haven't already opened? And the answer is you need to see another one that's open. The nice thing is these are common safes. They're sub $1,000 safes. They're all over the place. So pretty much if you get a picture of the inside of the back of the door, you now have all the secrets of that safe. Like, there's probably one of these ways to get in. Yeah. It was extremely easy. Usually it's a screwdriver, a couple screws. It's a piece of cake. Was it easy to take the door off? It's extremely easy. It takes about 2 minutes. So, what can we take away from this? Bolt down your safe. If it doesn't have holes, make holes. It's ridiculous to sell a safe that you can't bolt down. Before buying an electronic safe, remove the door and look at the locking mechanism. Like I said, this is all the secrets of the safe. You don't have to be a genius, because clearly I'm here, to figure this out. Block openings of the door and elsewhere and cover the locking pin with whatever you can. Even a slight modification is better. Like if someone is trying to get in covertly, if you even just stuff, my boss did this to me after I did the shim attack with activating the pin. He just took like a bunch of paper and jammed it in the door, and it actually works. Like, it's like, well, you can't feel the pin, it's harder, or whatever. I mean, anything you do is going to be better than leaving it the way it is, because as you can see, they all have this bad mechanism. It's easy to bypass. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I want to give special thanks to D.V. Nolan, Mark Tobias, because he is awesome on insecurity.org, Brent Houston, Phil Semp, John Snyder, McDouglas, Stephen Hossam, Stu Collins, Matt Turner, Nate Power, Teague Newman, Kelly Allwood for the reset button bypass, all the folks at Locksport International, Tool, Bloomington Fools, Bloomington, yep, sorry guys, Dave Kennedy, Adrian Crenshaw, and Martin Bos for letting me be here. Thank you for being awesome. If you have any questions, I'll take them. What? Sorry. What's that? The question? I'm sorry. Yes.
Is there a way to use a magnet to counteract the force of your magnet?
Yeah. Well, what you can get into is if they change the orientation of it. Like when you're doing a magnet through metal, you've greatly reduced the pull force of the magnet. So just by using thicker metal would have shielded it from that attack. Like if they put a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch piece of steel in between that solenoid, it would take a humongous magnet in order to pull that. Like you'd probably destroy the safe before you'd pull that, like crush it. So, it's easy to fix, but again, no one's testing. So,
so in other words, like if I want to figure out some way to glue like a 1/2 inch thick wood on the front of the door, that helps.
I would do it on the front. You're going to want to put, like, if you're trying to protect, if you have this forward-facing solenoid.
It's bolted down and I'm not going anywhere.
No worries. Hey, however you do it's fine, as long as it's bolted down. What I would recommend is first contact the vendor, because they may be able to. They may, if we can get enough people to mail in, they'll do something about it. Like I said, SentrySafe cared. They just didn't want to fix it. But if that doesn't work, I would recommend just taking like if you can get a 1/4 inch piece of steel, about 2 by 2, and JB weld that sucker behind the solenoid. It's that will block the magnet. Did you?
Honestly, say that's what you're trying to mechanical like dial.
Well, it's interesting. You said I don't know. I'm not into the dial stuff. I'm not a manipulator. I feel bad, but yeah, I don't have the stethoscope but they do have. Well, what you can get into is some of them have dual. Like, so you get into like they'll do safes for like this is actually some of the more expensive stuff. They get like the anti-EMP safes, so they have both locking mechanisms. So you have this like Sergeant Greenlee awesome like dial lock, and then they put the electronic lock on there, and it's like, and don't worry, you pay a premium for that. That's like in the crazy expensive safes. We're talking like in the $5,000, $6,000 range. Like,
I bought a safe that's bolted into where it's bolted into on two surfaces, bottom and back, and it's covered with a door, so they have to actually realize that they have to open this door to find it, and it cost me like $250.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, so first of all, I've got security through obscurity, but if they want to start pulling the doors open, oh, that's a safe.